the word that to know him as a savior,
Una palabra de conocerlo como Salvador.
I need to be saved.
Ocupo ser salvo.
And when you're in a position that you need to be saved,
Cuando estás en una posición donde ocupa ser salvado,
it's a place of fear,
es un lugar de temor,
a place of uncertainty,
un lugar de incertidumbre,
and we don't realize
y no nos damos cuenta
when we are in that place,
que cuando estamos en ese lugar,
that shows who he is.
eso muestra quién Él es.
We don't like it.
No nos gusta,
We question ourselves.
nos
We
cuestionamos,
begin to doubt God, or what are you doing, Father?
comenzamos a dudar a Dios,
But he's really showing himself to
pero Él
you.
se está mostrando a nosotros mismos.
And sometimes, especially during this season of where we're at as a body,
Y en esta temporada en especial donde nos encontramos como cuerpo,
makes me like, Lord, what's going on?
me pregunto, Señor, ¿qué está sucediendo?
And that word that he wants to show himself as a savior
Y esa palabra que Él se quiere mostrar como Salvador
to Church of Prayer.
a esta iglesia.
And so we were sitting and wondering,
Estábamos preguntándonos
what we should teach on.
de qué debemos compartir.
And the Lord just kept saying, back to the basics.
Y el Señor dijo, regresa
Back to the
al
fundamentals.
principio, a lo fundamental.
There's things that we have learned in this body of believers
Hay cosas que hemos aprendido en este cuerpo de creyentes,
that we're having people come in and they have no idea all the things
que personas están llegando a la iglesia y no han escuchado estas
that we had
cosas
to endure,
que tuvimos
that
que
we had
pasar,
to
que
learn,
tuvimos que
that
aprender,
God and put in our hearts.
que Dios había puesto en nuestros
And
corazones.
so not only do they need it,
No solamente ellos lo necesitan,
but as my wife said this morning,
pero como mi esposa dijo esta mañana,
it's for our foundation.
es para nuestra fundación.
You know, I told Pastor, we're not building foundation on foundation.
Le dije, pastor, no estamos construyendo una fundación arriba de otra
But
fundación.
as I learn and I'm watching my house go through this heat,
Pero mientras estoy mirando mi casa
and
pasar
I'm
por este calor
looking at my foundation,
y estoy mirando la fundación de mi casa,
it has to be tended to.
se tiene que cuidar,
It has to be worked on.
se tiene que hacer
And
trabajo
so-
en la fundación.
We want to go to the basics.
Entonces, queremos regresar a lo básico.
What I was thinking about through each message,
Cuando yo pensaba de cada mensaje,
anytime we have to teach, I normally dream that I dream my message.
cuando yo tengo que compartir,
Every time.
siempre sueño mi mensaje.
And I told Duran last night I was dreaming
Y le
me
dije anoche
teaching,
a Durán que yo me soñaba compartiendo.
and it was doing so good. It was going well
Y iba todo bien,
that I wanted to go back to sleep to finish the message.
que quería volver a dormir para terminar el mensaje.
But when I was dreaming,
Pero cuando yo estaba soñando,
this is what I spoke.
eso es lo que yo
He
dije,
gave me it's spiritual building blocks.
que somos bloques espirituales que están construyendo.
It's you're building upon the foundation.
Estás construyendo sobre la fundación.
And how he explained it to me is like if you have dysfunctional parts of your foundation
Y él, como me lo explicó, es que si tienes partes que no funcionan en tu fundación
and then you try to build on top of that,
y intentas construir arriba de eso,
for a little while it will stand.
estará bien por un ratito,
But when the storm comes,
pero cuando venga la tormenta,
when it's tested,
cuando sea probado,
it's gonna shift
se va a mover,
because it's not built on a solid
porque no
foundation.
está edificado en la fundación firme.
And so even us as a spiritual
Y
house,
nosotros como casas espirituales,
if you are lacking some of these spiritual building blocks
si te falta estos bloques espirituales
and you just move on
y sigues adelante
and you start building on top of that,
y comienzas a construir arriba de
you
esto,
go into ministry,
vas a hacer ministerio,
you become a mother, you get
te haces una madre, te
married,
casas,
you become a leader in whatever aspect of your life.
eres una líder en cualquier aspecto de tu vida,
It's going to stand, but only for so long.
va a estar en pie, pero solamente por un tiempo.
And then later on,
Y luego pasa el tiempo
you've been in the thing for 30
y
years,
estás en esto por 30 años,
but you see people walk away.
pero ves que las personas se alejan.
You see people start doubting their faith
Ves que las personas comienzan a dudar de su
because there
fe
was something that was in the foundation
porque había algo que faltaba en la
that wasn't
fundación
right.
que no estaba bien.
And so we're not tearing down the whole foundation.
No estamos derrumbando toda la fundación,
But what he was showing me was
pero lo que él me mostraba era,
when you have a house,
cuando tienes una casa,
you've got to water that foundation.
tienes que regar esa
You've got to
fundación,
check that foundation
tienes
periodically.
que ver esa fundación a través del tiempo.
You don't want to wait until the house shifts.
No quieres esperar hasta que se mueva la casa,
You want to check it and water it, take care of it.
quieres regarla y mirarla.
And so if you listen to every message that we've been receiving over this from January to
Y si
today,
escuchas los mensajes que hemos recibido de enero hasta ahorita,
they have all been spiritual building
todos
blocks.
han sido bloques espirituales.
Don't just take it as like that's another Sunday school lesson or another preaching.
No lo tomes como otra enseñanza de escuela dominical o otra predicación.
But when I went back through my notes, I could see,
Pero cuando repasé mis notas yo podía ver,
oh, Pastor Sammy has been strengthening us in family.
el pastor siempre se está fortaleciendo en lo que es la familia.
Pastor Duran's been strengthening us in our spiritual mindset.
El pastor Giovanni se está fortaleciendo en nuestra mente espiritual.
I went through each one of the Pastor Ben's been teaching about men and
El
leadership.
pastor Ben está compartiendo de los varones y del liderazgo.
Each one of these, if they become strong,
Cada uno de estos, si se fortalecen,
we will be strong.
nosotros seremos fuertes.
And we can think in our minds
Podemos pensar en nuestras
that
mentes
it's just me, it's my house.
que solamente yo es mi
And
casa
what I do doesn't matter.
y lo que yo hago no importa.
How I live my life, it doesn't affect the church.
Como yo vivo mi vida no afecta a la
But
iglesia.
because we are one body,
Pero porque somos un cuerpo,
if you are lacking in your personal relationship with
si
Christ,
a ti te falta en tu relación personal con Cristo,
then we are all lacking.
entonces a todos nosotros también nos falta.
If you do not have a personal relationship with worship,
Si tú no tienes una relación personal con la alabanza,
if your prayer life is weak,
si tu vida de oración es muy débil,
if you are not in your word,
si no estás en tu palabra,
then we are one body
entonces nosotros somos un cuerpo
and we are all
y
affected.
todos somos afectados.
Don't think I just come to church
No
and I just go
pienses,
home.
solamente vengo a la iglesia y me voy a casa.
You've got to strengthen each one of these areas we're going to discuss today.
Tú tienes que fortalecer cada una de estas áreas que vamos a hablar el día de hoy.
And I was questioning, I'm a very 1, 2, 3,
Y yo me preguntaba, yo soy una persona que es 1, 2, 3
just ABC.
y
That's it.
ABC.
But he was like, those are foundational things
Y esas son cosas fundamentales
that need to be established
que tienen que ser
so
establecidas
that we can go into the higher spiritual things.
para poder ir a las cosas más altas en lo espiritual.
And so I encourage you to take notes.
Tenemos que tomes notas.
I encourage you today to evaluate where you are in each one of these
Tenemos
places.
que puedas evaluar dónde te encuentras en cada uno de estos lugares.
Don't think, well, I already do those things.
No pienses que, ya hago eso yo.
In every one of these areas, you can be
En
strengthened.
cada una de estas áreas tú puedes ser fortalecido,
You can be encouraged,
puedes ser animado
and you can see where you're weak
y puedes
in
ver
these areas.
dónde estás débil en estas áreas.
And so, as we all know, our foundation
Todos conocemos nuestra fundación
and the thing that my wife wants everyone to know,
y lo que mi esposa quiere que todos ustedes sepan,
that we're all worshipers.
que todos somos adoradores.
And when she said that,
Y cuando ella dijo esto,
she was like, babe, I don't think we really realize
dijo, no creo que nos damos
that we're
cuenta
all worshipers and what that means.
que todos somos adoradores y qué significa eso.
And so she give me her 1, 2, 3.
Entonces ella me dio su 1, 2, 3
And we began to dive in it,
y comenzamos a buscar
and we want to kind of give y'all what we gave.
y queremos darles lo que recibimos.
So it's going to be 9 places
Van a haber 9 lugares
that make a whole worshiper.
que hacen a un adorador completo.
And these are things that, like Pastor Duran said,
Como dijo el pastor Duran,
on our journey,
durante nuestra jornada,
these are key things that have equipped me
esas son cosas claves que me han
and
equipado
kept me on my
y
journey.
me han mantenido a mí en mi
These are
jornada.
spiritual building blocks that I've learned on the way.
Son bloques espirituales para que yo he aprendido durante el
And so
camino.
as we go through each one,
Entonces repasamos cada uno.
you're going to see it's building.
Tú vas a ver cómo se está edificando y
So
construyendo.
the first one that every worshiper needs
La primera cosa que cada adorador necesita
is a personal relationship.
es una relación personal.
That's personal prayer time.
es oración personal,
That's personal worship time.
es tiempo personal adorando
And that's your individual time in the Word with God.
y es tu tiempo individual en tu palabra, tú y Dios.
You have to do this individually to build your own, as Pastor Sammy taught us.
Tienes que hacer tú esto individualmente para poder
You have an
construir.
individual altar.
Como el pastor Sammy nos dijo, tú tienes un altar individual
And then you have your family
y luego
altar.
tienes tu altar familiar
And then you have the church's
y luego
altar.
tienes el altar de la iglesia.
But if you don't have your individual time with God,
Pero si tú no tienes tu tiempo individual con Dios,
that's going to be a building block that is lacking.
esto va a ser un bloque que falta.
If you are only eating from when you come to church on Sunday and
Si
Wednesday,
solo estás comiendo de tu palabra el domingo y el miércoles,
you will starve.
te vas a morir de hambre.
If we only waited to eat food on Wednesday,
Si solo esperáramos
And
comer
Sunday.
el domingo y el miércoles,
we would be malnutrition
no tuviéramos los suficientes nutrientes
and we would be starving.
y estarías con mucha hambre.
We're going to eat as much as we can,
Vas a comer todo lo que puedas,
but it's not going to sustain us to get to the next
pero
Wednesday.
no te vas a sostener para llegar hasta el siguiente miércoles.
So he wants us to have this individual, personal relationship with him.
Y Él quiere que tú tengas esta relación personal con Dios.
You know, I know we're in a season of rest,
Sé que estamos en una temporada de descanso,
but we're not dead.
pero no estamos muertos.
You know, sometimes we can take it to the whole other side.
A veces lo llevamos hasta el otro
Say, I ain't
extremo
doing nothing this month.
y vas a decir, no voy a hacer nada este
And
mes.
God has not told us not to do anything. He just told us to rest.
Y Dios dijo, solamente descansa, no dejes de hacer todo, pero descansa.
Sister Lisa asked me to do something,
La hermana Lisa me pidió que hiciera algo.
and it would say like, hey, it's the month of rest. He shouldn't be doing anything.
Y yo pensé, es el mes de descanso, no debe de hacer nada.
That's not true.
Pero eso no es verdad.
And what's going to be attacked is our personal time that we're having,
Y lo que va a ser atacado es nuestro
the
tiempo
personal things
personal,
that we're doing.
las cosas personales que estamos haciendo.
It does not mean it's all just going away. We're just going to be sitting here being lazy.
No significa que vamos a estar aquí siendo perezosos.
It is important
Es importante
that each and every one of us
que cada uno de nosotros
reevaluates what we are doing personally
podamos reevaluar lo que
study,
estamos haciendo en nuestro tiempo personal en el estudio,
in our times of reading.
tiempo de lectura,
Because if you don't do those things,
porque si no haces esas cosas,
when you come in here, it's not going to be like Pastor said this morning, Samson, just, Lord, jump on me and get me
cuando
going.
vienes aquí va a ser como Sansón diciéndole al Señor que
That will
brinque sobre
work
de
for a
ti.
period of time.
Y eso funcionará por un periodo de tiempo,
But there's going to be a time when you come and say, Lord, just come on, Lord, just
pero habrá
jump in
tiempo
me.
donde dice, Señor, ven sobre de mí.
And the Lord is like, where are you at?
Y el Señor dice, ¿dónde estás tú?
And so as we move forward and go into these new places that God has called us to do,
Cuando veamos estos nuevos lugares donde Dios nos ha llamado a estar,
it's going to be so important to lay that foundation with everyone,
será
to let
importante
them know.
de poner la fundación para que todos puedan saber
We're not come up here to do a show.
que no lleguemos aquí para hacer
I'm not just getting my word because I'm coming up here to preach.
no solo saliendo mi palabra porque vengo a predicar.
The worship team is not just coming up here on to time to worship.
El
This
equipo de
is
alabanza no solamente
something
sube aquí para
that we
adorar,
do. This is something that we are.
pero es algo que hacemos y algo que somos.
That's what's going to separate, and they're going to see.
Es lo que va a separar y van a poder
Because
ver,
the church is plagued with this attitude
porque la iglesia tiene esta
that
actitud
when we walk through that door,
de cuando entramos por esas puertas,
turn it on me, Lord. But
ven
when
sobre de
we
mí, Señor.
walk out that door,
Pero cuando salimos de esas puertas,
it's not there.
no está ahí.
And so it's going to be so pivotal for us.
Va a ser muy importante para nosotros.
The Lord has me on this
the word is the foundation of everything we do.
La palabra es la fundación de todo lo que
And
hacemos.
so if you don't know the word,
Si no conoces la palabra,
if you're not living the
si
word,
no vives la palabra,
if you're not walking out the
si no
word,
estás caminando en la palabra,
that's a spiritual building block that is lacking.
esos son los bloques espirituales que te falta.
And literally everything we do as a
Y
church,
todo lo que hacemos como iglesia,
everything you do in your individual life,
todo lo que hacemos en tu vida
has
individual,
to always come back to the word. If
siempre tiene que regresar a la
you
palabra.
want to know who you are,
Si quieres conocer, saber quién
if
tú
you
eres,
want to understand your calling and your
quieres
purpose,
saber tu llamado y tu propósito,
if you want a remedy for depression,
quieres un remedio para la depresión,
if you're sick,
si estás enfermo,
if you got family
si
conflicts,
tienes conflictos en tu familia,
every answer is in this word.
cada respuesta está en esta
If you
palabra.
need to be encouraged, nobody encourages you.
Tú vas a ser animado y personas te están animando.
You can open up this word
Abre tu Biblia
and you're going to find
y vas
encouragement.
a encontrar ánimo.
And so if we have to build this part up.
Tenemos que edificar esta parte.
We had Ephesians 6 and 17.
Tenemos Efesios 6,
56,
17.
17 is about the sword, but I went to 2 Timothy 3:16. It says,
Efesios 6 habla de la espada, pero 2 de Timoteo 3, 16.
I'm moving fast,
Muy rápido.
All scripture is given by inspiration of God.
Entonces, les habla
We all know
para-
this is a pastor. And it's powerful for doctrine. 2 Timothy 3:16. Like, and to make